Hello, everyone. We're back with another episode of Africa Unfiltered. Today's guest has been moving mountains behind the scenes of Afrobeats for years, from Storm Records to Maven, from helping shape artists like Tiwa Savage and Wande Coal to even co-founding One Africa Music Fest, and now launching a global film and TV company. Bizzle Osikoya is a connector, a visionary, and one of culture's most passionate champions. We're going to get into all of your career and legacy stuff. But first, how are you doing today?
Well, thanks.
What's something you've been loving lately that has nothing to do with music or work?
Something I've been loving lately, to be honest, is really just more getting back into my fitness, going to the gym and just reading more books and watching podcasts on just wellness and mental development. I feel like it's one thing a lot of people miss in this industry. You're so focused on trying to build a career and not trying to live a life. So for me, I always try as much as possible to balance both, have a healthy work-life balance, be on my fitness game, read more, learn more, and just understand life differently and see different areas of life that don't necessarily apply to music or entertainment.
Okay, what inspired that shift?
And for me, it was just a thing of where I realized that look, everything doesn't revolve around like what you do. Like the world is bigger than what you do, and the more you meet people, the more you start to see that there's a lot more to life than what you just do. And I've been meeting a lot of people lately in different works of life, more so like a lot in the financial world, like people in the VC space, private equity space, and for me, it was just a thing of taking my mind into a different space to see and understand that there's more things you can achieve in life than where you are.
If you could pause your schedule, like your work schedule for a week and disappear somewhere, where you going?
If I could pause work schedule for a week and disappear somewhere, where would I go? I think I'll go to either. I love water, so I love anywhere there's water. So like, count me in to go to any place like maybe Zanzibar, Mauritius,
Mm-hmm.
Maldives, the Caribbean. I just love water, and that's why I enjoy also living in Lagos because Lagos is like surrounded by water as well. We have so many beaches in Lagos, so I just love being around water. It's just there's something just calm about being by the beach, you
Right.
know, and just takes away all your worries.
Yeah, I gotta make my way to Nigeria soon.
For sure, definitely, man. I say to everyone, like, I feel like everyone needs to visit Nigeria just because it's like, I mean, you need to see, witness to yourself. It's not just about having Nigerian friends or eating Nigerian music or consuming the food, but
Mhm.
you also just need to, feel the country and,
Okay.
enjoy the space.
Right. Okay. So take us back for a second before the titles and accolades. What pulled you into music in the first place?
To be honest, I've always loved music, but what made me really go into the space was I did music business in school, but what really pulled me into the space, and I was saying to someone the other day, was when I was growing up in England, and you would go clubbing and you would hear Jamaican music, dancehall music in the clubs, you hear it on radio, but African music was never really getting that love. And I was like, bro, we need to make this happen. Like, we need to put African music on the globe because it's like our music is great. Like, I mean, a lot of us who, grew up abroad, like, and are African, like, our parents raised us with African music. So, like, I don't know any Nigerian or Ghanaian or Sierra Leonean or, Guinea person that never been to the continent before that don't know African music. It's like because our parents raised us on that. So for me, it was a thing of like, look, I need to see how we can get this music to be on the global stage, and I want to be part of it. So I went to school for music business. I ended up, reaching out to Obiasika, who had the biggest record label back in Nigeria. Then he offered me Storm Records. He offered me a job, And, I came back to Nigeria and we started building from there. And I moved from Storm to Mohits, from Mohits to Maven, and finally setting up my own company where we manage Davido, who is like one of the top Afrobeat artists in the world. Not even just Afrobeat, but one of the top artists in the world right now. So for me, it's the thing of I'm glad to have been part of this, global rise of Afrobeats, and it was because it was what inspired me to get into the music. So I'm glad to be part of it.
You were part of the early wave that helped define Afrobeats. When you think back to those times, what stands out to you most?
I mean, to be honest, what stands out to me most is like the hunger and the drive of my fellow Nigerians. Like, Nigerian artists have always been very, very aggressive and hungry to get to the top. Like they never took no for an answer. Even back in the days when it was like we used to pay huge amount of money to feature US artists on records. Now it's the other way around. All the US artists want to feature, Nigerian artists on their records now. But back then, Nigerian artists would pay huge amounts of money to feature them. We always found ways to try and see how we can get there quicker. But so for me, I feel like the things that have changed is just that tables have turned now. It's a thing where they're looking for us now. It's not like before where we were the ones looking for them. Now it's like them. Now you meet a US artist or UK artist is like, yeah, I need to come tonight, man. I need to work with a night artist. I need to work with this person. So it's like for me, it's like the things have really, really progressed from when we got into the industry to now. And I'm happy to be alive to be witnessing this.
You've worked with a lot of heavyweights like Tiwa, Don Jazzy, D'banj. What did you learn about artist development then that you still carry with you today?
And big shout out to Don Jazzy. I'll always give him his flowers. Like every interview I do, I'm always mention his name because he was the person that really, really made me to become an A&R. He was the one that made me understand that this is what I want to do and this is what I love doing. Because I would see how he would make music in the studio and just figure out what artists from the label would that record would fit to go with. And for me, it's like those are the things that are still with me right now in the traditional ways of developing artists. Not necessarily the new ways where the A&Rs just want to look for what's hot and not. I still enjoy developing artists from scratch and just grooming them to make sure that they build the right sound. So I mean, from then to now, I mean, it's still the same for me where I'm still very traditional, old school A&R that wants to go in the studio with the artists and create and just make sure everything is right before we put it out.
What about One Africa Music Fest? It was very successful. I enjoyed it. That was like a cultural reset for a lot of us in the diaspora. How did that idea come together? And is there a chance that it'll be coming back, making a return?
So big shout out to Polo, like his name is Paul Okoye. He's the founder of One Africa Fest. I remember when he reached out to me, I was in America then, and he reached out to me that, look, I'm putting together this festival and I want you to be part of the team that is helping me with the festival. And I was really glad to jump on board of that and work with him on that festival. It was that was the beginning of that was the real beginning of Afrobeat Festival in the US. Barclays Center, Whiskey, everyone. It was so amazing to see. I'm not sure if he'll be coming back to the US, but I know he had his long run. He did it in New York a few times. He did Houston a few times, and I think he did Atlanta once. I'm not so sure, but yeah, I'm not so sure if he'll be coming back. But Polo, I'm grateful for Polo for bringing me on board to help him, be part of the planners of the event, and I'm glad it was successful. I worked with them for a few editions and then I stepped down to focus on building my own company. So, I mean, yeah, big shout outs. I mean, he should always get his credit for being the first major Afrobeat festival in the US.
Yeah, I agree. At this point in your career, it feels like you've shifted from being just an A&R to more of a builder. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, it's like I said earlier, like, when you asked me the question previously, for me, it's more of a thing of like, it's growth. In life, you grow to a certain level where you're just more than what you do, and then you start to, look for other ways to help yourself because, there's no point in you dying and you're dying with your ideas. I feel like a lot of people say, I want to die empty. I want to make sure that every idea, everything I had in my life, I executed. That way I feel fulfilled and I'm not, dying regretting like, oh, I never did anything I wanted to do. So for me, it's a thing of where I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I you know, love and I've always said I was going to do from young. So yeah, I'm glad to be doing everything I said I'll do.
And if you don't do it, somebody else will.
Exactly. It's crazy how you just said that because like I was talking to a friend of mine 2 days ago. We're at the airport, we're in the lounge, and then he showed me this platform he's building, and I'm like, bro, no way. Like 3 days before that, me and a couple of guys sat down together to speak about building exact same platform. And it's just like, bro, it's crazy how like there's no you're not the only one thinking about an idea. It's just how fast you execute it.
Yep. You just launched WEBEK Studios. I love the intention behind it, elevating African stories on a global stage. Why now?
And for me, like I've always wanted to go into film, but it's like it was really about finding the right partners. When everything you do in this life is really about finding the right partners. Even with Plug, you know, my I founded my partner Asa Sika, and then we later on brought in on board a friend of ours, Toby Mohammed, to be a managing partner on the business. So for me, it's always really about finding the right partners and people who believe in the same dream as you and have the same values as you, because that's when you can actually become successful in anything you do. You know, if you just rush into any business without, the right team or right partners, I mean, you're going to fail quick. So for me, I felt like this was the right time because, like, these are people, my partners at WEBEK are people who I've known for a few years and I know how excellent they are in what they do. So for me, it was just a no brainer to like set up a company with them, like, and for us to build something where, we've always talked about jokingly, but we're not like, okay, cool. Why don't we just all come together, build this thing and take it to the world?
What kind of stories do you feel the world still isn't hearing from Africa?
To be honest, like there's a lot of stories that the world isn't hearing from Africa. I mean, right now, it's like the most things people see from Africa is really just about the whole like traditional stories and stuff like that. But like we need to really talk about our history and let people know more. There's a lot of Black people in America or African Americans who, like I said to you earlier, like they were born for African parents, but they don't know about their culture. All they know is what their parents have probably told them or what they've seen on the internet, and it's like people are not really telling all those real stories of Africa, and we need to start telling our stories more. We need to stop letting the West tell our stories for us. And if we don't put it's like the music industry as well too. I say to a lot of people in the music industry, we keep letting the international press define what Afrobeats is or what our sound is or where our sound is going. Why aren't we doing it ourselves? Why aren't we putting out the documentaries and letting them see the genesis of where the music started from before it became global? Why aren't we telling them the history of the previous artists who did this thing? Why do I know the history of um, Michael Jackson and Donnell Jones and all these people, but the people in the West don't know the history of like a Two Face or a Tony Tetwila or a Madman? Like those things that, we need to tell our stories more because that's how people are able to understand what we are doing and understand the music fully and understand the journey of where we've been coming from.
Right. Um, I love that you said that because I actually, a few years ago when I was in grad school, I actually made a documentary on the history of Afrobeats. And I also wrote about it, like the difference between Afrobeats and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send it to you so you could,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure, definitely. I'd love to see that.
yeah. You've always been about connecting talent to opportunity. How does WeBet continue that mission beyond music?
I mean, for us at WeBEK, also the one of the good things we're going to be doing as well is like looking for the new faces of Africa, like because like we've it kind of feels like over the years, we've seen the same faces in most Nollywood or Kenyan or South African movies. It's really most been the most same faces. Now, for us, it's like we're going in to look for the new, young, fresh faces because it's like, how do we showcase these new people to the world? How are we building new generational stars? How are we building the next Genevieve, the next Rita Dominics, the next R&Bs from, like from here? Because we need to start building the next generation. And we can't just keep recycling the older guys and not giving the new generation a chance. So that's one thing we're going to be doing definitely. And also on the music side, we're going to be, with WEBEK as well too. We're going to be creating proper soundtracks for our films, working with young, upcoming, talented artists to be able to make that film and music connection, smooth and easy. So yeah.
Any projects or partnerships coming down the pipeline?
Well, there's a few projects we're working on, like with WEBEK. Like we're definitely doing a few. We just dropped our first film on YouTube. We're also working on our first feature film. We have a short film as well that's going to be showing in Paris next week and in Cannes also as well. It's going to be showing in Cannes as well too. Just putting it out there, just like growing steadily. And our first feature film should be coming out Q1 2026, and then we're doing a few more partnerships as well too that are going to be this year as well. So yeah, we're just building and growing, and yeah, and then on the music side too. Um, there's three artists that we're currently developing at the plug: Shine TTW, Easy Scope, and Rhythm City. Um, Rhythm City is the baby. He hasn't put out any music yet, but Easy Scope just put out a project with in collaboration with a producer called Semzi, and Shine put out a project last year. This year we're going to be seeing a lot more music and collaborations from Shine TTW. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then with Davido, he just dropped his album. He's currently promoting the album. So yeah, there's a lot going on for us, and we're super excited about it.
Okay. And you've seen Nigerian music shift from local to global, right? What's something about the growth that people still misunderstand?
Something about the growth that people still misunderstand, I'll say, is to be honest, the fact that not everybody in Nigeria or in Africa does Afrobeats. It's like we need to. Yes, they called it Afrobeats in general because they couldn't find a name to call the sound. But I feel like now it's time to now start, letting people do what they want to do. There's a lot of people who do R&B music. There's a lot of people who rap. There's a lot of people who do soul music. There's a lot of people who do juju, Fuji. It's like we need to, then there's piano. There's three step. There's different sounds. Like we need to now just stop calling everything Afrobeats and really understand that there's a lot of genres of music from Africa, and Afrobeats is Afrobeats. There's also some type of music which I think Afrobeats is more of the pop Afrobeats, Afro sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So the pop sounds are the ones that are really under the Afrobeats umbrella. But yeah, people need to really actually listen to more music from Africa and understand that it's not just all Afrobeats. Don't categorize everyone into the Afrobeats box.
Like award categories, I feel like, for example, Thames. Sometimes she's always getting categorized in the Afrobeats, but her music is more R&B.
Yeah, Thames is R&B, but I guess because she's from Africa, they will always put her in Afrobeats category. But it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
we need to.
But then, there's Chris Brown and Usher who are in Afrobeats categories as well, but they're not Afrobeats artists.
Exactly. So it's like that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. What does real support for African creatives look beyond streaming music or watching films?
For me, it's really more about development on the continent. Like we need a lot of development on the continent and education. Like I say to people, like, look, it's all good and well. Burna Boy and Davido, they're all doing shows, and Wizkid, Thames, they're doing shows in the West, but there's no structure back home. Right now we still don't have a proper collecting society for royalties back home. We don't have proper venues back home. It's like we need these things to be perfected back home because like the industry isn't making the money that every year they bring out a report of what Afrobeats made, and it's not reflecting back home. So for me, it's more of a thing of like we need to start looking for people who want to actually invest and build the structure back here. I mean, we can't really put it on all. We can't really put that weight on the artists because as well, everyone has their dreams in life. But if we had more international investment companies looking to come out here and build because they see what this music is doing globally and they're interested in coming to support it, it will be amazing to see.
So you're saying like if an artist goes viral, like an artist in Nigeria goes viral here, it doesn't really affect them back home.
No,
That's crazy.
like because like look for example, look at Spotify in Nigeria. We pay less than $1 a month for Spotify.
Mm.
We pay less than $1 a month for Spotify.
Less than $1 a month. We don't pay
Yeah.
$1 a month. We don't even, it's more than that. Spotify is like 12,000 a month, something like that here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so we paid less than $1 a month for Spotify. So imagine what the royalty rates are because it's very poor. And these people, like a lot of these guys, their deals are ex-Africa. So now Africa is, enjoying the little crumbs, and the money can't really do much for people here. Like you can. I mean, how much do you really want to pay? Like you see people working in big labels here in Nigeria, and their salary is like it's nothing to write home about. To be honest, their salary is like $200, whereas their mates working in the same label in the US are earning way more than they earn. Earning like their 6 months check in 1 month. So it's really not reflecting back home. And then all the labels that come to Nigeria or Africa, they really want to just pay their staff and build based on what they make on the continent, which doesn't really make sense.
Right. So how do we change that? Does that have to do with anything about like artist development or
Well, to be honest, it's really more than just artist development. It's really more just about people building because it's like at the end of the day, Spotify, if they increase their fee from that less than $1, people might not use them because obviously in Africa, people would rather stream for free than pay. But we need to. It's beyond just the music people now. It's in general, it's everyone in general. Like even the fans as well need to. The fans need to what's it called? Start being able to support their artists and say, look, we want to pay money for you because it's like why don't you if they increase Spotify to say equivalent of $10 a month in Nigeria, I don't think the fans will pay that. They'll rather just go to listen on YouTube as free than.
yeah.
So it's really it's more than the artist, more than artist development. It's just really more about I think more investment opportunities here. Maybe like if we had more venues and more stuff like that, then that way people are able to earn money as well too, beyond just streaming. So streaming isn't really a focus of earnings. It's just a part of earnings.
Okay. So what advice would you give an upcoming artist?
To be honest, for me, advice to upcoming artists, I would just say to them is like, look, it's never that easy. Like so a lot of people that you see, a lot of your faves that you see that all day overnight, it's trust me, it took 10 years. I feel like 10 years is overnight success. Like there's nobody that you hardly find people who started music 2 years ago and then blow up. A lot of them have been doing it for time, and it's just like stay consistent, stay positive, trust in God, and like look, the sky's the limit, man. Like, it's like even someone like you who's a journalist, like I mean, I don't think you just woke up and just got your job at BT and your podcast and everything. It took time for you to build.
Yeah.
And, it's like you've built your name to a level where, look, you've done interviews with big names. It's like you've built your career to a level where it's like if they pitch you to somebody, they respect you because yeah, she's putting her work. So
Yeah.
it's like you have to put in the work and remember, like once you put in that work, the universe will always, always reward you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it will. So, what's one artist you think deserves more flowers?
Artist who deserves her flowers. I'll say a girl in Nigeria. Her name is Leah.
What's the name?
Leah.
Lee
Liya.
Liya. I think she just like won a Headies or something.
Yeah, she just won her headies. Like Leah is super amazing, amazing vocals, wonderful artist. I mean, I don't know why, the world hasn't given her a chance, but that's somebody I'm really rooting for. And
Mm.
I pray that this headies she won is the beginning of the greatness in her life because I just feel like, and she's also a Muslim sister, like, so for me, it's just like, I'm really, really rooting for her because I feel like this is somebody that is super amazing at what she does. She just needs, the right ears to listen to her music and sky's the limit.
You've always been about uplifting others, but what keeps you going? What's your why?
To be honest, I'll say to you that I'll say maybe being a Muslim is really what keeps me going. Like as a Muslim, like I feel like the discipline of your 5 daily prayers, Ramadan, the whole discipline of Islam is things that keep me going because it just makes me believe and trust in Allah. It's like a lot of times I know that look, things that get hard for everybody. But like Allah said, with hardship there will be ease. So for me, those are the things that just keep me going and realizing that every obstacle, everything that comes my way, it's a plan from Allah. I feel like Allah would not let you know, Allah will always come through for you. That's just what
Yeah.
it is. Allah will not leave you stranded. And He never left me stranded. Like no matter what, like every time I feel like, oh my God, I'm stranded, Allah always comes through. So for me, it's a thing of where like I just feel like it's a no-brainer, just like keep pushing and like even in Islam, it's like part of uh 5 pillars is to give alms to charity. So for me, it's like give me helping people, lifting people, doing things to people is my own charity. It's my way of doing sadaqah. So
Right.
like I feel like those are the things that keep me going.
When you look back years from now, what do you want your impact to have been?
When I look back, I mean, I want to be honest. I want to, for me, is two things. One of the people who really really changed the industry on the continent for good and made people start getting what they truly deserved, and also the person that also made sure that artists, went in terrible deals. For me, it's always the thing I make sure that every artist I've worked with has been in a great deal. And yeah, that's really what it is. Just like honesty.
Well, Bizu, I appreciate you for coming through and being so real with us from championing Afrobeats to now shaping the future of African storytelling with WEBEK Studios and music with Plug. It's clear your impact runs very deep. To everyone listening, thank you for tapping in with another episode of Africa Unfiltered. Make sure you guys follow Bizu on social media. You can tell them your social.
Yeah, my social media is at Bizzle Osikoya. It's BIZZLEOSIKOYA.
Okay. And if you're
Look forward to connecting to people.
Yes, yes, you guys got to tap in. And if you're not already, follow Africa Unfiltered on Instagram and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great speaking to you.
Yes, it was great.